Hello, everyone. Dave Bush here, Kansas Sports HQ, episode 11. Who knows what we're going to talk about today? We're going to have a special guest, Karlee Ford. She's going to jump in here in a little bit. And then, how's everybody doing? You have Sheldon Howell, Sean Cutler. The weekend was good for me. How about you guys?
Yeah.
What?
I said we get it.
Only winner in the room based on the teams for the NFLs. That's cool with me. Sean, what about you, bud? What's your thoughts there?
About the weekend? Weekend was good. Packers and Chiefs lost. It's a long season. We'll bounce back. Packers will put Malik in. Season around.
You're 14-3.
Well, it's now 13.
13-4. Okay, I gotcha.
But Buffalo, they can have their Josh Allen's a regular season QB. That's all he is.
Kind of like Lamar.
Like Lamar.
Yeah, something like that. But I do have some fun updates here. Rose Hill over Ulysses for high school sports. Augusta upsets McPherson to move on. Wellington over Arc City. Northwest destroyed campus. Capon obliterated El Dorado. East beat Dodge City, which was a huge upset. Mulvane beat Circle, and Derby beat Topeka.
Which is Topeka?
It just said Topeka.
The
That's
Topeka.
all it said.
The only.
So,
Resort.
Put all of the high schools together.
They're now in 9A.
Right. I know Andover got beat by South, but not Wichita South. So that was another upset in the mix there. But 6A sports moving right along. I know volleyball's in there for their regionals in state. Football just keeps moving along. Mays will have an okay opponent for their next.
Who do they play next?
Yeah, I didn't write that down.
Yeah, actually, I saw the bracket.
Okay.
Yeah, I have it right here. It's Mays will play Wichita East. Southeast will play Manhattan. Derby will play Junction City. Washburn Rural will play Wichita Northwest. Olathe West will play Olathe South. Olathe Northwest will play Blue Valley West. Free State will play Shawnee Mission Northwest. Olathe North will play Gardner Edgerton.
Interesting.
Yeah, it's like it's definitely an East versus West situation, getting the middle, met there. So seeing that division's kind of fun. Friends played at Equity Bank Park this weekend, and
Yeah, they put a whooping on Okada.
oh my goodness, 53-6.
I thought it was pretty cool. I had a guy reach out to me and was like, hey, why don't you guys get the podcast and come out and do some of these games? And I was like, well, I don't know that we're really that mobile. We could come out and
try.
Yeah, we could hang out, I guess. Go from our phones.
Oh
Yeah.
man, everybody just log into the studio and figure it out. Yeah, I don't know. That'd be pretty cool to.
I'm gonna
have
get a couple of those friends guys on. I've got a couple guys that I've trained, obviously, but then just some of their teammates and stuff. The quarterback there has a really cool story. I know of him. I don't know him personally yet, but I've trained a lot of the guys around him, and seeing him be super successful there is kind of it's an inspiring thing. It's pretty cool. So I'm gonna reach out to some of those guys this week and see when we can get them on. But
Sure.
yeah, we got a few cool lineups this week. I got a couple of Parisi athletes that we've worked with that have gone on into the regular world, into their lives, and some that are active athletes, which we're going to kind of mix it up and get some people on the podcast, highlight some more people from our area that are doing really, really cool things. So I am excited about that because I've had a lot of people reaching out, which I think's cool. I think that, like we said in the beginning of this whole thing, it's just about doing cool stuff for the city and doing fun stuff for the people that are in it and that are around, the things that we're around. So I think it's kind of fun to see people, paying attention a little bit to it. And I don't know. I just think it's cool.
This weekend, I got a text message from an umpire. I'm sure you can guess who it is, but he was like, man, that talk you guys had with the Wellington Heat and everything like that was super cool, super interactive. And he was excited that the Summer Ball Showdown is catching some stuff.
Yeah.
So that was pretty neat. And then I do have one question. How's the time change hurting you guys?
I didn't even know that it happened until we were driving to church on Sunday, and I was like, why does the car say it's 9 or 9:15 and it's 8? I was like, then I remembered all at the same time. I was like, oh wow, okay.
Yeah, my car is going to be an hour ahead until
The next time.
Till March when it's right on.
Speaking of that, though, we do probably need to look
clock.
at the door and make sure that all the door codes. I did think of that when I unlocked the door this morning. changing all those back. I was telling Sean there was a guy in here last night that was with one of the curve guys, and he was just like bouncing around the facility, put like the Spider-Man mask on, and was just like walking around. Texted Bach, I was like, who is this kid? Like, what is going on? It was just a random thing. But yeah, so that made me think about the door, and I was like, oh man, we need to make sure that we get all that stuff
I'll
lined
switch.
up before.
Hopefully I can just switch that over instead of having to go change everything.
But we do got a busy November showing up. I went to Coach Mutt's baby boy's birthday. Moot. That was fun yesterday. So I went and hung out with them and got to see little Abram. He's growing up. So Stokely was kind of flexing on him because Stokely's been standing up, and she was like standing up, like trying to get him to stand up, and like looking at him like, yeah, I'm younger than you by a week. Why don't you stand up? So, but no, it was fun. It was good to see those guys, and got practices ramping up. We got all kinds of things that are going to be going on here in November, which will be a lot of fun. A lot of moving parts, a lot of team trainings, it's going to start getting cold. That's the only downfall. That's the drawback. So
yeah, I gotta prep
all
the fun stuff around the facility, I suppose.
Get it ready. I don't know when we're going to put that tarp down and do that whole bit, but
yeah, make my signs. This is not a backstop.
Yeah, seriously.
Just getting all the fun things together for Wichita Parisi, and then I know winter meetings are happening throughout the entire nation for summer collegiate baseball stuff.
Yeah.
Fun stuff there. Looking at some cool partnership stuff that we'll be maybe presenting on here or having them on. You never know.
Yep. Well, I am excited about our guest today. Just to give you guys a little background. I'm sure she'll hop on here any moment. But Karlee and her brother came to Parisi for many years back in the day. They were involved with just our regular program stuff. And then her brother kind of faded off, didn't want to do sports as much anymore. And she is now at Iowa State playing some softball, and she's balling. So she's doing really, really well. But she got a really cool story. She's very impactful in the community, does a lot of give back for the community, and just tries to, help the next up and coming generation. So I think it's pretty fitting to try and have her on and chat with her and just see what's going on, which I think will be a lot of fun. And, she went in as a freshman last year, had a really good season. She's just one of those girls that's just like a grinder, man. Like she works, and is just really locked in on trying to be impactful for a Division I program, which I think is, for any of the ladies that might be listening out there, if we even have female viewers that have maybe daughters, I don't know.
Soon with this one.
Talk to them. Make sure they show her this episode here. This one should be a lot of fun.
Didn't she come in based off of an injury and then just never look back? I mean, I think there was an injured player in front of her, and then
you mean
last year,
at school?
yeah.
That's a good question. I don't know. I thought you meant when she was coming to Parisi. I was like, oh no, she wasn't hurt.
No, I'm talking about school.
Well, we will find out.
Yeah, we got lots of fun questions. Sean has prepped all of them for us.
Media man. Okay, she should be getting on any moment. So, but yeah, it was a sad weekend. Green Bay is ridiculous,
losing to the Panthers.
Yeah,
Panthers are 5-4.
First of all, that line was suspect. Like, why that's a 13.5-point line for a 500 team doesn't make any sense whatsoever.
There she is.
Hello.
Good morning, Karlee. How are you?
I'm great. How are you guys doing?
Doing good.
I'm ready. Perfect. Oh, it was good. I was actually in town this weekend for my friend's baby shower, so that was fun, but just made it back. We had weights this morning, and we have practice today, so just getting back into the swing of things, so should be fun.
Nice. How long is that drive from here to go back to school?
It's like 6 hours, so it's not too terrible. I can do it in like a day, but I would rather not.
Yeah. How'd the baby shower go?
It was great. It was amazing. Got to see my friend. Haven't seen her in a couple months, so that was awesome. But a girl, yes. So coming in January, so I'll be home, and I'm excited. It's gonna be great.
That's awesome. I'm a big believer that everybody should have a girl first, since I had it.
Yeah, no, I know. I was
Don't
like
put that evil out
hoping
there.
it was a girl, but we don't say that. So yeah.
That's fair. Well, awesome. Well, we're excited to catch up with you, kind of, let you kind of tell your story as well too, and kind of talk about where you're at, what you got going on, all of those things. But I just said this, but I'll kind of prep it as well too.
Yeah.
For us, our goal is to try and just share local stories from, athletes that we have around here, people that we've been involved with, but also people that are just in our community and, talk about the cool and fun things that you're doing, your successes, and, kind of how you're plugging along. And I've had the privilege of knowing you for a while now. I don't remember the age that you started coming and working with us here at Parisi, but it was a while ago. I just
Mhm.
said you and your brother Preston came in, and you guys were little pups running around, and we got a lot of work in and did a lot of things. And he, went on into the workforce and didn't really, pursue, I think, playing as much as you had a passion for it. And
Mhm.
so with that, then we kind of went along, and now you're in college and doing all the fun things.
Yeah.
So yeah, no, I'm excited to hear a little bit. Yeah, just to kind of start out, just kind of introduce yourself just briefly, and just kind of say where you're at, what you got going on, and then we'll kind of lead you into some other questions from there.
Yeah, perfect. So I'm Karlee Ford. I'm a sophomore on the Iowa State softball team. I've been playing softball since I was little. I'm from Wichita, Kansas. So as you know, I went to Parisi. I honestly can't remember the time I started either. I just know my mom was like, "We're going to this thing," and next thing you know, I was there every day. It felt like. But yeah, so I grew up playing a bunch of different sports. Ended up choosing softball around my middle school time, and then kind of just going from there. But yeah, like other than that, I'm involved in FCA out here as well as some other student orgs and kind of just keeping plugged into the community as well as helping athletes through. I do mentoring online. So work on the mental side of the game as well as working on the physical side of the game with I do catching lessons and hitting lessons here as well. But yeah, and then I'll do like catching camps and I'll do different hitting camps and stuff in the Wichita area. So some people might have known me from there or helping with different types of youth groups at church, at Pathway Church. I helped with Ignite for a while, so I know a lot of little kids from there as well. But yeah, that's me.
Yeah. Yeah. You are super active in the community, doing all kinds of different things, and just putting yourself out there, which I think is
Mhm.
really cool, even at a younger age, right? Before
Yeah.
you were, a Division I softball player, right? Like you were still actively pursuing giving back and actively
Mhm.
pursuing trying to do different things in the community. Yeah. You were playing club ball and you were giving, catching lessons to the
Mhm.
younger kids in the club, right? Like I noticed that because obviously I've been around you, and I think that there's a sense of initiative there, but then there's also just that like drive to serve, which we talk about a lot, and I
Yeah.
think you have that and are trying to constantly be given back in that aspect, which I think is very, very unique and something that a lot of people kind of don't see all the time, and so
Mhm.
I commend you on that because I think that's really cool. But take us back, before college, right? Like talk to us a little bit,
Yeah.
high school days. You're a super successful high school player around here. Talk about your high school a little bit, kind of let people, know where you started here in town.
Yeah, for sure. I went to Eisenhower High School out in Goddard, and that was just a great experience. My mom coached alongside with Coach Amber Brunswig for, gosh, they coached together for around 8 years, and I got the amazing opportunity to be coached by both of them for my 4 years of high school there. High school was so much fun. I always just tried to make, kind of instead of focusing more on, like, all the accolades and winning and stuff because high school, you never know what year you're gonna be dealt with what, and we were blessed to have a very successful high school team all 4 years that I was there, like, the girls were amazing, I had such a fun time, but I really just tried to have fun with my teammates, and just go and give back and then also, hopefully win those titles and stuff when we were there. But I really liked when I was in high school just being able to also just give back to the players there. Because like we all know high school, you have some girls that come out who've never played the sport before, and then you have some that it's their whole life for
Mhm.
any sport. And so just being able to like help mentor and like help my teammates out, it really did coach me up to now being able to help with younger athletes where I am today. So really love doing that. But I just like high school, I look back at it and it was just such an amazing time. I had a great time at Eisenhower. My coaches were amazing. But yeah, that's about it with Eisenhower.
Yeah, I mean, your mom was involved with that program, which I think is cool. Like, I think that
Yeah.
it's, for you to be able to, those are pivotal times for any athlete that's obviously trying to play a collegiate sport. It's a pivotal time that you either do the things that are necessary to get seen and get noticed and pushed
Mhm.
along, or it doesn't work out. And, so for you to have your mom in
Right.
your corner there, speak to that a little bit. Like, talk about, what was cool about that. I'm sure there's some negatives there too. Having your mom on your hip the entire time, that's always something.
Yeah.
Talk about that just a little bit so that way we can see, kind of what that looked like.
Yeah, for sure. It was cool because I was very close with Coach Amber Brunswick as well as having my mom there too. So I always felt at home at practices, even when I would make mistakes or something would happen and maybe we'd have to have a conversation. Just, I always felt like that was a community for me. My mom, growing up, she was always one of my coaches. I think she like T-ball all the way through. I think it was 14U that she finally like took the leash off and just let me go. Not that she was like holding me back or anything, but that's when I started going. I was on Cody Stuckey's Renegades team, and then from there I kind of moved up through the Renegades, and then ended up going to the Aces. But she had been my coach for ever since I could remember going into high school, so it honestly was very easy for me and very normal for me to kind of transition from club ball to high school having her as a coach. I will say she was very hard on me. She was harder on me than she probably was on anyone else, but I always took that as a push. Like it was like, that's what I'm going to do to get better. Whenever we'd practice throwdowns, even if it was a perfect throwdown, it was like, no, it needs to be lower. Like, let's focus on this. And for me as an athlete, like different athletes, that can be a little discouraging for them. And maybe they don't want to continue the sport because nothing's ever perfect. But for me, that was always the push of like, okay, you're right. Like I need to work on this. Perfect. And she knew my dreams. She knew my drive. So people would tell her like, you're too hard on her, Karlee, like all this stuff. And she just was like, you don't know her dreams. You don't know her goals. Like this is what she wants to do. So if she wants to play the Division I level, she needs to be doing this stuff perfect. And so I always loved that she was able to do that for me and also hear the back end of it of me being frustrated or things I was working on and then be able to coach me through those because she saw every side of it. So that was pretty cool.
Yeah, she's awesome. So shout out to your mom, Kelsey. She's great. I have great conversations with her. In some aspects, I look back and just kind of seeing and being a part of your journey, which I am, incredibly happy and blessed that I was able to just be around to watch you, right? Like just be
Yeah.
able to sit on the sidelines and see some of that stuff happen because ultimately you're doing something right now that I think a youth athlete in our community could only dream of, right? Like you're
Mhm.
one of a very, very, very small percentage that make it to the next level, number one, which is finishing, high school ball and playing college ball in general, but then also playing at the highest level that you can play at in college. And I think that that's awesome. It's so fun to see, but in the same aspects, like having conversations with your mom, I mean, that lady, me and her will get on the phone and we just talk. Like we talk and talk and talk. But
Right.
I do think that there's a piece of that that other people can learn from because,
Mhm.
and I'm not going to speak for her, but this is how I felt. Like she utilized my, system with the things that we do here as a resource for you guys, right? Like, and so she was communicative. Like she wanted to learn, she wanted to know more. Like she was about learning and not
Mhm.
necessarily like, looking at it from the outside looking in and just like hoping that it worked out. Like she wanted to use it to help you ultimately, right?
Yeah.
And she did a really good job at that because we would have, I mean, I get on the phone with her and it's like I'm not gonna get off for an hour. Like, and I accept it when when I hit the green one instead of the red button. Like I just accept that I'm gonna be on the phone for a while. But but I love that. Like the parents that are trying to do everything that they can to understand that journey and understand what some of it, different advices and how to move through the processes is
Mhm.
it's very refreshing to see that happen and reaching out and trying to consistently do it because she obviously just wants the best for you. But, and then you went
Yeah.
out and proved it too. Like, I don't take anything away from that at all. Like, you balled out in high school and are still balling out now. But, one thing that I wanted to make sure that we talk about, and then I'll let the other guys ask some questions too. But
Mhm.
walk somebody through because obviously you had a great high school career. Like your high school
Mhm.
career was awesome. Like you guys had really good teams. Like you guys just everything around your high school, especially softball related wise, was just successful, right? Like all good
Yeah.
things, like awesome, awesome career. But then you were still having to fight, right? Like you were still having to push and push and push to have the opportunity to play at the next level. So,
Mhm.
put some insight, let some insight out there, I guess, of what did that process look like for you? Because I remember having one of those hour-long conversations with your mom, and I learned something from
Yeah.
her on that conversation. So if you don't say it, I'll say it. But
Okay.
tell me about, kind of what did you do then, right? You're getting ready to
Mhm.
graduate. you're talking to the schools, right? You're doing the basics too, like you're going to the camps, doing the stuff, right? Like there might be somebody that listens to this that's trying to get recruited, trying to do what you're doing. Tell them how you did.
Yeah, for sure. So my recruiting process is kind of unconventional, as people would say. So some of the girls that I've met here in the Division 1 world, they're like, really? That's crazy that that happened. So basically, in softball, for all my people who like know softball recruiting, you pretty much get recruited out of club ball. Club ball, high school ball, it kind of matters. Like obviously, you want to do great. You want to try your best and do everything you can. Coaches, just because coaches are in season in the spring, they're not coming to all of your high school games unless they have like a break and they are able to come, which is awesome. I remember seeing some coaches out there at some of our high school games. But with that, it really was just grinding the whole year long. So I just remember like winter training was when I was just like working on things. And then spring high school ball was for me to try those things out and see what worked and didn't and tweak those for summer ball. Because summer ball is when we were going to showcases, we were able to get seen by people and all of that stuff. So for me personally, my sophomore year of high school, I committed to McLennan Community College in Waco, Texas. Which is one of the best JUCOs in the nation. I have two of my friends who are there right now, and they're doing an amazing job. And so I committed there because a lot of these JUCOs are great programs, amazing programs. Like we'll play these JUCOs in the spring or in the fall, like as a Division 1 school. And I mean, they have such good talent on their team. And so I always advocate for whenever people talk about going the JUCO route or anything like this, like, and even Division 2, Division 3, like NAI, there are great athletes at those schools who could go beat out someone in the SEC or in the Big 12, but maybe just didn't get the opportunity. Because I was a story of really just kind of getting swept under the rug, not really being seen by many coaches, and then finally got seen by a coach and then had the opportunity. And so I'm a huge advocate for no matter what level you're at, like you can make it, like you really can. Because I was committed to McLennan Community College for about a year until September 1st of your junior year for softball is when you can get contacted by Division 1 colleges. So I remember on September 1st, it's like a huge deal, right? Like people are waiting up until midnight because their phone's going to call everything. I was waiting up till midnight. I was like, maybe someone's going to call me. Nothing. Like crickets. Like nothing. No texts, no calls, no emails. Absolutely nothing for a whole year after that. Like I didn't hear anything from anyone September 1st of my junior year, all until the next summer of my senior year. So I was going into my senior year fully expecting I'm going the JUCO route, right? Like I'm going to go grind this out and go hopefully to a 4-year after that. That's my plan. What happened is I ended up going and playing for the Aces out of Kansas City. And when I was playing for them, we were in some showcases and I got seen by Iowa State and ended up going on a visit. Obviously, we're here now, but it was just crazy because I have people ask me all the time, like, how many other Division 1 offers did you have? And I'm like, none. Like, I'm going to be honest. I was seen by a college that needed a catcher my senior year of high school. And I ended up coming here and then ended up making freshman Big 12 team. Like, it's things like that it's like, it seems so out of reach until it happens. And so for anyone who's like watching this right now and maybe you're feeling a little discouraged, I remember going to the Iowa State camp when I was invited before I even had an offer or anything. And when we were driving to Iowa, which was a 6-hour drive, I remember telling my mom, like, if this doesn't happen, I'm done. Like, I'm not going to worry about Division 1. Like, that's just not God's plan for my life. Because it was almost like I felt like I was pushing it rather than just letting it happen. I wanted it so, so, so bad. And so every weekend I was going to different camps. We would travel, like I would fly places, everything. And so the last camp I went to was the Iowa State camp. I was driving there and I literally said, if this doesn't happen, I'm not worrying about it anymore. Like, we're just going to go JUCO. We'll figure it out after that. And then it ended up at the camp, I ended up getting asked on a visit. So everything works out for a reason. And if you keep on working, like if you keep grinding, I always say, like, miracles happen when your grit meets God's grace. So like when you're working on things, when you're praying to catch the bus, you have to run as fast as you can to go catch that bus, because if you don't catch the bus, then it wasn't your bus. And so like that's what I've really focused on when I was in high school, because I was really, really wanting this. But that's kind of my story. It's very unconventional. A lot of people go straight there, or they kind of go straight JUCO or maybe straight D2, NAI, stuff like that. But it's just kind of crazy story of like even my senior, and I have other stories of some of my girls who I knew on my Aces team who senior year of high school, they got recruited out of something because they had to decommit or weird stuff happens. But just knowing that if you continue to work hard, like the right opportunities will arise for you to go somewhere.
Yeah. Yeah. No, amazing. And, never giving up, believing in
Mhm.
yourself, like all of those things. Like you did that. So you didn't say the thing that I wanted to make sure that we
Oh
highlight
no.
in this recruiting process.
Fired.
But you're a living example of it, right? Like you,
Yeah.
you truly are, right? You're a sophomore going into your sophomore season, so like I think all of us looking at each other right now, I don't even know how old I was as a sophomore, probably 20.
Yeah.
There ain't
There
no
you go.
way that I could speak on the things that you're speaking on, right? Like, and there's no way I would have the confidence that you have, and
Mhm.
just the way that you carry yourself, right? The way
Mhm.
that you are. I don't want to say the word prepared, but it's just more you're confident. Like you're confident
Yeah.
in communication. You're not afraid of having those conversations. You're confident in your game, right? Like you're confident
Mm.
in the things that you're doing, right? Like you're not afraid to bet on yourself and do the things that you need to do to be able to put yourself into a good position, right? Like you're willing to do those things. And I really think that that boiled down to a lot of processes, but one that I learned from your mom that I think is really, really cool. It's just different than what I hear from most people is when you would go to a lot of these showcases and these camps and these different things, your mom would almost force you to be the one that
Mm.
was there interviewing these colleges, right? Like so you
Yeah.
kind of almost flip the role. And that was a
Mhm.
that was a big because I do a lot of college recruiting, right? Like we bring in, 200 collegiate athletes like every single summer here. Like we do a lot of college communications. Like I do all kinds of that stuff. And that when she said that to me, I was like, wait a minute, like let's talk a little bit more about this. Like I want to learn more on this. Like, how are you doing this? And she
Mhm.
and her
Yeah.
philosophy, and I'll let you dive into it, but her philosophy, at least the way that I took it, was you would have like this card of questions, right? Like this little
Yes.
business card style of questions that was like, you're going to walk up to this coach and do a stepbrother switcheroo and be like, no, 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 this is my interview now. Like, I'm
Yeah.
going to come and talk to you and ask you these questions. And I want to know about
Mhm.
your program. I want to see if it fits my needs for what I am trying to do. And it
Yep.
almost there's some psychology that's built into that as well, but there's also this sense of confidence, and I think that what I've learned, especially over the last 3, 4, 5 years of college recruiting is, programs, especially with NIL now, which we'll ask you and talk about, the way that the
Mhm.
recruiting portal is, all of that stuff. Colleges are looking for the people that want to be there. They
Yeah.
want the people that want to buy into the program, that want to be committed, that want to be loyal, right? Like they're looking for that person. And I think you guys were well ahead of the curve in that when you were walking up and saying, hey, I'm actually, yeah, you committed, you came out here, you did the camp. So like obviously there's some transactional value there, but you were also like, hey, this is kind of like a job interview for you guys checking me
Mhm.
and me checking you, right? So talk
Yeah.
about that a little bit because that was it was a very profound moment for me because I've used that in many different aspects with a lot of athletes and I think that that builds confidence. I think it builds
Mhm.
this sense of like, hey, like you're going to have to be willing to have tough conversations and if you aren't willing to go out there and put yourself out there, it's gonna be a long road ahead, right? You're gonna be constantly climbing up
Yeah.
the mountain. So talk about
For
that a little
sure. Yeah, my mom would always say it's like a relationship. Like you can't go and expect something or like talk to a coach and just be like, "Yeah, I'm 100% for you," but then maybe you don't really like their program very much. Because there's so many different coaches in any level of school and they do things different ways. And so yeah, I do remember cuz I was like a camp like I was going to every single camp I could possibly go to get seen by these coaches. And I remember going on camps that were on their campus, like ones in Arkansas or ones in Florida, Iowa, everything. And when I would go, I would watch how the teammates would react with each other or interact with each other. I would watch how the coaches would interact with the teammates at camp. Would they talk to their teammates? Would they just sit there and not really bat an eye? Like all of this stuff. And I can tell you there's been coaches or maybe programs that I've seen that for me personally, I would not thrive in that environment. Other people totally, that's probably their stuff. And so that was a thing too. And then when I would go talk to them, at softball camps, it's kind of like they form a big single file line, and everyone goes and talks to the coach and introduce themselves and then gets a picture posted on Twitter, right? And if you're a softball player, you know this. This just happens. Everyone does this. And whenever I would be standing there in line waiting for my opportunity, I would think, how can I stand out from the rest of these girls? Because I'm really hoping I stood out with my athletic ability, but I want to make sure that I'm standing out so they know that I'm actually interested and I want to get a response from them. Like, I want to know, are you interested in me? And then maybe sometimes it was that I maybe wasn't very interested, but I still wanted to show respect and like, thank you for allowing me to come out today and go say thank you. But yeah, I would ask the questions like, tell me about like your team, like camaraderie, like how does your team work well together? Or tell me about what are your plans for the future, or what are you looking for right now? Like exactly specific position wise, what are you looking for? Are you even looking for people in my class, or are you looking for maybe a couple of catchers from a younger class, right? Like, am I wasting my time basically? Because it is true. It is, I mean, flipping the switch, because as much as you might like a place or maybe not like a place, you've got to figure out like, what do you want out of college? Because a college experience is 2 or 4 years. Most of us want to go for 4 years for athletics, and that's 4 years of your life that you can't get back. So if you're at a like a college that you really don't enjoy, then we needed to be asking the right questions with the coach like there. And I think the number one thing with that is like, I was always scared in high school that like I would be disrespectful for asking those questions. But what I've learned in college is no, like so it actually catches coaches off guard when you ask them questions like that, like in a respectful way, obviously. But it shows them that you care. Like asking questions, advocating for yourself shows the coaches that you care, shows them that you want to know more about their program and that you're not just there because your parents forced you to be. Because I promise you, half of the girls that are at the camp, their parents probably forced them to be there, right? So just being able to kind of advocate for yourself and know that like talking to the coaches is good, and you need to practice that skill, because when you get older in life and things maybe start not going your way, you need to be able to advocate for yourself and talk to your coaches and know that you're trusted and know that you're like valued at that specific place.
Yeah. Yeah, that process is, I think that a lot of people can learn from that and put themselves out there, gain the confidence to have the conversations and get a lot out of it, because that's why coaches took notice of you, and that's why, you know, slowly but surely your name was popping up on boards left and right. And I
Yeah,
can tell you unequivocally that recruiting has changed so much over the past 10 years. There's just so many different pieces that go into it now in comparison to what it was, and it's a much different game. But
for sure.
who's the scariest coach that you ever talked to? Like, do you remember have one that you were just like shaking in your boots, like going up to
I'm gonna be honest, like, all of them, I was pretty nervous. It was
Yeah.
kind of like I had to just force myself to do it. I think, I'm gonna be honest, I think coming and talking to Coach Pink, which is Iowa State's coach, I was so nervous because at that point, I was like, I'm just asking him. And I was like, hey, are you interested in me? Like, coach, are you interested in me or no? Like, I just want to know. And he was like, actually, yes, we are. But I would say from that, I've talked to a lot of coaches, and I don't really think there was one specific one that was like scary or like kind of off-putting, you know? But I think all of them had their different like circumstances. So I would say probably my answer would be like Coach Pink, because I was like really thinking the camp was going well, and I was like, shoot, I don't want to get let down. And I didn't, which was awesome. But yeah, that's probably it.
Okay, fair enough. Well, I know these guys got some questions for you as far as like
Perfect.
the college side of things. So, you know, obviously commit to Iowa State, have a really good freshman, you know, season, you know, Big 12 freshman of the year, right? And that the verbiage.
Freshman, I wasn't freshman of the year, but I was on the freshman team.
There you
So
go.
yeah,
That's what I was looking for.
close
Yeah.
enough.
Yeah, well, they're all very important people in my brain
Right.
because that's
Right.
a big deal.
Sean, it's our turn. Finally.
Go ahead.
Karlee, tell me about your experience as a freshman. You know, lots of times you have people who go to a D1 in red shirt or whatnot, or you're on the true side of things. What's that experience been like? Because some people understand that the red shirt is, they're like, I'm too good for this or whatnot. But being a true freshman, getting the opportunity that you had, like, what was that experience like for you?
Yeah, it was really cool. We had a very young group coming in last year. We had 9 freshmen coming in and 2 transfers. So like half of our team was new. And so I just remember really being excited just for like the opportunity and knowing that if I continued to work, and continued to push myself that I could help the team. And so in that, with the red shirting, I actually don't think any of our girls have red shirted because our coach does a very good job at giving us all opportunity to play, and kind of like letting people get at bats at different times depending on what his plan is and everything. I do remember in the fall, I got quite a bit of playing time. And then when we started up in the spring, the first half of the season, I didn't play. So our sophomore catcher played most of the time. And then she unfortunately got an injury. And so from then on, I kind of took over and just kept playing throughout the season. And I remember every time that I got an opportunity to play, I was like bouncing off the walls. Like I was so excited because like we're playing against Oklahoma State. We're playing against like GCU and I mean Arizona and all these crazy teams that I had watched on TV for so long and dreamed of playing against. And so it was just such a cool experience to be able to go out and play and actually compete and do well. I remember when I went in during the Arizona State series to take over for the injury that had happened, I kind of just was like, at this point, I'm not going to like white knuckle everything. I'm just going to go out and play and just let whatever happens happens. And I did really well that series. And then it kind of every series I got a little bit better and was, making more contact on the ball and being a little more smoother behind the plate and everything. So it was cool to see my development from like the beginning part when I started playing, like halfway into the season to the end of the season, like Big 12s when we played Arizona. And I mean, I'm just so grateful for the opportunity. It was an unfortunate way that it happened. I never want anyone to like get hurt for that to happen. But the way that it all played out, it gave me the kind of look of at the beginning of the season, my role was to be the best teammate in the dugout, to make sure people were getting warmed up, to make sure that people were, hype in the dugout. Because baseball, you don't really cheer, but like softball, you got to be hyped. Like you got to be like hype in the
It's
dugout.
a rowdy dugout. It's definitely a rowdy dugout.
Exactly. And like me and my teammate Tiana, we were like the ones making all the beats and everything. But yeah, like that was my role.
That's
And then when
you?
my role,
You're responsible
yeah.
for that? Sorry to interrupt there.
No, if you come to an Iowa State game, you'll hear some beats, and I'm probably in the dugout doing them. But I mean, I think the main thing was really just embracing my role in every possibilities. Embracing my role from the beginning when I was in the dugout, and then embracing my role at the end when I was, a pivotal part on the team, like bringing in runs and helping the team out and everything. So it was cool to see the progress from that.
Nice. Sean, you want to go?
Yep. You kind of touched on a lot of these things already as you went through the recruiting process and just growing up here around town. So just another kind of more of a broad question. What are some things or maybe lessons that you have learned along the way growing up here? You've applied now in Ames.
Yeah, that's a great question. I think kind of touched on it earlier, but obviously like the grind is like the game respects the grind. That's something that Summers Method down in Clearwater, Florida uses. That's their like motto, I guess, is the game respects the grind. But that is such a true statement of like, if you continue to work hard and take time to perfect the little things that you're working on, like the game rewards that. In softball and baseball, there's such games of like failure, right? Like we're constantly failing. It's basically like if you hit 3 out of 10 times you get a base hit. That sounds terrible in other sports, but you're like one of the best players ever. That's like a 300 batting average. Like you would love that. And so it's kind of just been like recognizing and working on kind of the mental side of like when I do fail, the only reason that it's ever going to be a failure is if I don't learn from it. And knowing that and then also being able to teach that to younger kids has really helped me kind of, hammer that into my brain. Because when I'm meeting with these girls weekly or if I'm meeting with my lessons weekly and I'm telling them these things, but I'm not doing them, then it's like, okay, what are we doing here? And so kind of being able to focus on that. And then like another thing that I've just really been working through is literally just giving it all to God. When I tell you that, like, I used to, like, white knuckle the sport so much and be so upset when, like, I didn't go 4 for 4, like, God forbid I didn't hit the ball every single time, right? Little things like that, but being here and knowing that God has given me this platform to be on. Like, I did not make it here by my own strength. No way at all. And if you can see from my story, like, there's definitely workings that are going on behind that. And so knowing that, like, he's put me here for a reason. So my reasoning isn't always to be amazing at softball, right? It's to minister to these people on my team and minister to the community and to be able to get his word out there and continue talking about him because softball is great. but it's not forever. Like, I'm not going to be playing softball for the rest of my life. So I need to be able to, be giving everything to the Lord and making sure that I'm using his blessing that he's given me, like, for a good purpose and for what he needs it to be.
That's really awesome, and I know that going up through baseball myself,
Hmm.
the mental side of things really took a toll on me, and I did not have a good relationship with God at that time. So it was a huge struggle, and yeah, I will second that if you have that in your life, and if everything is for Him, everything else kind of flows downstream and flows a lot better. Yeah, I would like to commend you on that because I know I've seen some of your videos. You definitely spread the gospel, you spread God's word, you read God's word, and I think that's really awesome because you know young girls especially, they need, role models,
Hmm.
in their life, and I just let you speak a little bit more on that, how you set the tone there, not only on the field, but off the field, spreading
Hmm.
God's word, playing hard, and setting up to be a very good role model for those young girls.
Yeah, I really have been working in my walk with God recently. I mean, I've been a follower of Christ ever since I think I got baptized when I was in seventh grade. And so it's just been a constant walk, a constant process of like sanctification, which is looking more like Jesus. And in that process, it's really been like a lot of conviction from the Holy Spirit, right? A lot of conviction of like, okay, this you're making this your idol. You're making this your God. And for me, that was softball, right? It was the stats. I was making the stats my God. I wanted those good stats. I wanted those accolades in high school, even after I got the all state accolades and the all metro accolades and the state stuff and everything. Like, I was like, okay, what's next? What's the next thing that I can get? And the thing is, the only thing that can fill that hole in our heart, and even if that thing for you is what's the next thing I can buy or the next person I can meet or any of this stuff, like that hole, the only thing that can fill it is Jesus because he's the only one that's eternal. And that's the thing is I was putting my hope in softball. I was putting all of my like livelihood into softball. So then I was becoming hopeless because softball is vulnerable. My stats are always going to be great. Like softball's not always going to be 100%. I'm going to feel tired sometimes. I'm going to get injured. Things are going to happen. And so the biggest thing I realized was like when I put my hope in things that are vulnerable or can be taken away, that's the only time I ever become hopeless. But when I have my hope in Jesus, who is eternal, he's the Alpha, Omega, everything, that's when I know that like I'll never be hopeless because my hope is placed in something different. And so being able to play with that freedom and also be able to like talk to people this whole year, I really was praying for like opportunities to grow in my faith walk. I felt kind of stagnant last year. And so this year I got involved with FCA. So I'm helping out. I'm like a part of our leadership team here at FCA, which is Fellowship of Christian Athletes, if people don't know what that is. But yeah, I've been doing that. And then we're starting a For Freedom chapter here at Iowa State. We had this night where we were able to share, athletes came and shared their testimonies, and we did worship and a time of confession and everything. And it was really, really cool to see. And so we're starting a chapter here, and I'm president of that and kind of just working towards like I spend so much time on softball and like I also want to spend so much time like serving the Lord and doing the Lord's work for me. And so that's obviously softball. Like softball, I'm trying to minister to people and just bring the light on the field and at practice, but also being able to do that and like fill myself up through FCA and through these different things that I'm doing as well, like with Christ. It's cool because 'cause I'm able to fill myself up and then able to go and give that and then kinda repeat that process every week. So I would really encourage, like, anyone who's struggling with that to get involved with, like, a youth group, get involved with any Bible study or any groups anywhere because it's hard for us to constantly be pouring our cup out to other people when we're not getting it filled up with, fellowship and things like that with other people.
Yeah, that's amazing. And honestly, wise beyond your years thus far. And it's
Thank
cool. It's very refreshing. I mean, it really is.
you.
I think the country is in a massive spiritual awakening. I think that there's
Mhm.
a big time movement that's happening across a lot of different platforms and a lot of different
Yeah.
people that are becoming more open and talking about everything. And so it's
Mhm.
fun to explore that with you, but then also like hear your confidence, you know what I mean? Because that's always the biggest thing, especially with younger generational people, is having the confidence to speak from the heart and talk
Yeah.
about, all of the things that might seem, uncool. I was at church yesterday and our senior pastor was talking about how he was like, we're talking about connected life and children being on social media and just all these
Yeah.
different things. And he was talking about how like his life group that he has and people that are close to him, like they almost want their children to not be normal anymore. Like they want them to
Yeah.
be, different. And, and they're striving for that because they want to be on fire about their faith and
Mhm.
doing things differently. And so I think it's really cool. It's fun to see you in action because you're an adult now, like you're living on your own, like you're doing your
Mhm.
own thing. You're surrounded by all of these different, societal things that are constantly around you and you're standing firm and you're moving a certain type of way that is super impactful and hopefully changing lives, on a day-to-day basis while growing yourself.
Yeah.
And I think that, that's an amazing journey to highlight, and I think that that's something that hopefully a lot of people can learn from because it's very, very important to see that in action, and I think that's awesome. So, one question I wanted to ask too, kind of back on as far as softball is concerned, what have you seen, when we're talking about like NIL and you're talking about college recruiting and the transfer portal, obviously you're kind of cemented into the role and kind of where you are, with social media, right? So kind of
Mhm.
encompassing all those things. You are a viral star now. That happened, what was that, last summer? Right?
Right.
Um,
Yeah,
did you
sure.
did you get contacted for some NIL stuff? What has your process been in that? Because obviously you're in a world where that is a little bit more of a prevalent opportunity. And I think that, boiling back down into decision making and who you align with and how you move on a day-to-day basis, there's
Mhm.
decision process that goes into that. So tell us a little bit about, what has happened in your journey on that side of things.
Yeah, for sure. NIL is such a new thing that's constantly changing. I will tell you, I'm a marketing and sports media major. So for sports media, we talk about this stuff all the time and kind of what's NCAA doing right now and all of this stuff. But NCAA keeps getting sued for all of this NIL stuff that people weren't able to have or they are able to have. And so it's such a changing topic. Like there's always new things being put out. Like NCAA says this or they took this back and it's kind of just crazy right now. We actually just got approved. There's a settlement coming to Iowa State, and I'm pretty sure it's going to all campuses who are allowing it. But it's like a settlement for kind of the NIL stuff for athletes and stuff like that. But there's also been other opportunities. I've found more opportunities through social media than I have through just like being here as an athlete. I will say I am a huge advocate for NIL because it can get out of hand 100%. But for student athletes who aren't able to work and we don't have time for a job, it is very nice to be able to work in a sense of NIL and then be able to make a little bit of income from that. So I'll tell you a couple of the, I guess, NIL things from like Iowa State that I've done. There's different like merch lines where you can go buy. And if anyone wants a Karlee Ford jersey, you can go to my Inflexer, put that little pin in there.
There you go.
But yeah, there you go. But there's things like that, like merch things that people can buy, and then I make a little profit from it. And then I think from Iowa State, there was one other one. I can't really remember which one it was, but the majority that I get are from my social media. Um, a
What did
lot
you
of like,
make off of what did you make off I don't know what you call that thing on second base, whatever that trend, that's what I was looking for. What'd you make off of
see,
that funny looking deal that you did? I don't even know what
yeah,
to call it. I don't know that there's a word.
my like double celly.
Yeah, there it is. That's what I'm looking
Yeah,
for.
I didn't make any money off of that.
What?
Yeah, I know.
I mean,
Crazy,
that thing
right?
got like a ton of didn't they have like 1,000,000 plus?
Yeah, right? I mean, it had over like I think 5 million views on my account and then ESPN posted it, ESPNW posted it, like
That turned
all
into
these.
like a phenomenon. Like every
Yeah,
single double celly after that was that
right.
same. I don't know the song or the dance or any of the stuff. I'm older now, but I just started seeing it everywhere after you did that.
Yeah, I know, and that was like a dance on like TikTok that it was really funny because it just became popular that week that we went to Big 12 tournament. And I remember saying, I was like, if I get a double, I'm doing that. Like, I'm going to do that. And the BYU game that we played, I hit probably the worst I have the whole season. Like, it was so bad. And so when we went to play Arizona, I was like, oh my gosh, well, I'm probably not going to hit a double because I was not hitting very good. And then somehow it happened. So I was like, all right, we're good. So I hit the double celly, but I didn't make any money off of that. So that's the kind of misconception, I guess, about NIL is that like views will get you money. TikTok, the weird way TikTok works is you can sign up for like a creator program. If you sign up for that and then you get 1 million plus views, you start making money. But I didn't do that because they start tanking your views once you do it. And it's just like a whole thing. And I didn't want to worry about it. But yeah, so I didn't make any money off of that. The main way that I make my money now is through, I do user generated content through Rip It Sports. So Rip It is like softball. They do volleyball stuff as well, but they have a lot of like softball stuff. You've probably seen like the Ringer Pro shoes or the Rip It. They have face masks, they have pants, and they have everything. So I signed a deal with them and I make videos for them. They post them on their account and then I get paid for them. And then there's like a couple other things I'm about to do. I actually have to turn it in today, but I I signed to do, it's like Iowa State gear. And
Yeah.
so I'm just making a video about some gear that people can go buy and then I'll kind of submit that. But I will say this, anyone who's looking into like getting into that kind of stuff, make a separate email and put your email in your bio and people will reach out to you even if you don't have very many followers. Because I know there's a couple of girls on my were on my team who they had like 2,000, maybe 5,000 followers, which isn't an insane amount. And they would still get people that would reach out about even like micro brand deals that you could do just to make a little bit of money and kind of work in that. But that's about it. I mean, I don't really make much.
Yeah, for sure.
We're micro branders.
Micro, yeah, there you go. It's like technically I'm a micro influencer because I only have like 20K and like people have a lot more, obviously.
We're micros, influencers.
Macro influencer.
We're
Yes.
the micros. Whatever the
That's so
lowest
funny.
atom based is, that's what we are.
Oh, that's hilarious.
Proton
Yeah, but that's pretty much it.
Fair enough. Yeah. Well, how is, what's the day-to-day life out there like, right? I've never been to that campus. We have a fellow Iowan here with us.
Ooh,
He
yes.
probably knows some of the things that are there. What
Yeah.
are like your, like we all get the grind, right? Like we know the practice side, the weight side, that type of stuff. Walk us through, obviously you're in football season. I've seen you go into some football games, so I know that you're doing
Yes.
that for fun, but what are like a couple of your favorite spots? Like what are some places, like give us the ladies always have a coffee place that they frequent
Right.
typically. So give us that. Give us like your, what's your favorite go-to meal? Like if you're going out, like what's the place you're gonna go eat some food at? Like what's the fun spots that you go to? Give some
Yeah.
insight.
Okay, so we just recently got a 7 brew in Ames, and
Smart.
Hey,
when I
Shout
tell
out
you,
Seven Brew.
7 brew.
oh my gosh. Well, every time I would come and work out this summer, unfortunately, 7 Brew was on my way home. So when I was over like at Parisi every day, I would just hit up 7 Brew on the way home. And then I get to Ames and they made a 7 Brew. And I was like, shoot, looks like I'm going to have to go every day.
Yep.
So I've actually had to put a limit on myself because I'm like running. I mean, it's not cheap coffee. We know this. It's like $7 for a medium, right? So if anyone hears this, please make your coffee a little bit cheaper, please. But I'll go there all the time. We have some great like hometown Mexican restaurants here.
Okay.
So like El Jefe is one of my favorites. We'll go there sometimes even to like watch film during season. So we'll like go sit there, get chips and queso and just watch film in their booths and stuff, which is super fun. But other than that, as a student athlete, it's very easy to get kind of isolated off of campus if you're not taking a lot of in-person classes. So I really try to go on campus and go study we have a place called the Student Innovation Center, which they always put it on our commercials and stuff, our Iowa State commercials, because it's like new and it's really nice. But I'll try to go study there with my friends or whatever, and then kind of just like walk around campus, walk around town. We have our like campus town area, which is really cute. And they've been putting like new areas in there. And for me, I want like a cute, cozy little place to like go do homework. And so I try to get on campus because it's very easy to like just go to the SPC, which is where we eat and do our weights and everything, and then like go home. But trying to like incorporate and make sure I'm like in the student life as well. Cause you know, you only have 4 years of college and I want to make the best of it. So we also go to all the football games. Today we have our women's basketball home opener. So I'm going to go to that later. But it's really cool because we're like friends with all of these people. Like we see them on TV and stuff, but like we see them in day-to-day life and they're just normal people to us. So it's cool to go see them and watch the basketball games, watch the volleyball games, go to some of the soccer games, everything like that, and be like, I know you, like we're friends. So that's been super cool. But yeah, just trying to stay involved, you know.
Love it.
I want to ask, what's that Iowa State-Iowa rivalry like for you?
Yeah. For me personally, I don't have
Ron's an
that much
Iowa
beef.
fan, not an Iowa State fan.
Right. I actually met someone this week who was like, I'm from Iowa City. And I was like, whoa. I was like, I don't really care, but if you care, then that's okay. Like, I don't know. The Ames in Iowa City. So the Iowa versus Iowa State, they call it the Cyhawk series, and it's always like put on by Iowa Corn. So they like produce it and everything like this. I don't personally, I mean, obviously we want to be Iowa, like duh, come on. But I
Cool
don't really
spirit.
find it as like a we're going to battle type thing. To me, it's like any other game because I don't know. But if it was like KUK State, I understand like this is war. Like we're going to war here. So I'm trying to channel that a little bit. But since I never really went to Iowa ever, I'm just kind of like, you know what? We want to beat them, but it's okay. It's not really that big of a
Do
deal.
they have a good
But
softball program? I don't know anything about it.
yeah, no, they actually do have a pretty good softball program. I know last year they did pretty well in the Big Ten, but we normally only play them like once or twice a year. And I think this year we're playing them like 4 times.
Oh wow.
So yeah, that'll be fun. But no, it's a fun
Just
time.
like sell out as a just crazy packed house.
Yes, so normally when we played them at home last year, it was completely like filled. And then when we played them at like Pearl Field, which is in Iowa City, it was also completely filled. But it's so sweet because after those games, all the little kids will come up and like get signatures and stuff from like both of the teams. So that's super sweet because you get to like have conversations with people and, you know, talk to the little kids and stuff, which is awesome. So I love that part of it.
Any comments there, Sean, about Iowa versus
No.
Iowa State?
Yes, well, my whole family are Iowa State fans.
Oh, there we go.
Well, you're the
He's a
oddball
black
then.
sheep.
I don't.
I'm
I
so
don't
happy.
feel- I'm not super like
Anti Iowa State.
Okay, thank you. I appreciate that.
That's
So again, Big 12, Big 10, and then you growing up in Kansas, you know the top, you know, showdowns and whatnot. Who would be your rival in the Big 12 that you guys just make special chants for your out of your dugout, talk more trash kind of thing? Like what team is it for
Yeah.
you guys that just, I don't know, just ugh.
Yeah, right. I honestly think for some reason, but this isn't softball, this is kind of football. For some reason, Iowa State has a weird thing with KU. Like they try to make some like beef between KU, which I never understood being from Kansas because I'm like, no, they already have their rival. So what are we doing here? But for softball, I would probably say this past year, our biggest like rival was like maybe like Oklahoma State. Because when we went to go play Oklahoma State, okay, so not my freshman year, which was last year, but the year before, we beat Oklahoma State. We won the series at home when they were ranked. So it was like a really big thing, right? And then this past year, it was kind of like we have, and this was also in Stillwater. I had so many family and friends and high school coaches come, and it was so cool. I got to see everybody. But we played in Stillwater, and it was kind of like a big like game for us, at least rivalry maybe saying, just because like Oklahoma State is normally a very good softball team, and we're kind of in the same area as them. So it's one of those things where we were really like, guys, we need to win this series, and we ended up winning the series, and so it was really like a cool thing because they're normally ranked as well, so that was pretty awesome. I'm trying to think in the Big 12 because we don't really specifically have like one Big 12 team that it's like, yeah, that's our like rival team, you know. But I'd probably say Oklahoma State.
Fair enough.
Yeah.
Kind of cool. I mean, those types of atmospheres and environments, you know, that just, you're never going to get that again, you know, and I
Yeah.
think that's something looking back on, you know, my career, anybody's career, like you think of how fun those games are in the moment. And, you know, when they're gone, they're gone. And so soak those moments up because
Right.
those are gonna be the memories that you have and, the people that kinda went to battle with, which I think is
Yeah.
fun. Who's your favorite teammate? Like, if you had to pick
My
one.
favorite
Yeah,
teammate?
who's your favorite teammate?
Guys, I can't do this. I can't pick
You
my
I
have
favorite
make
to.
everybody do
Yeah,
it, so
Guys,
just
I can't.
we know you
Okay.
love all of them. That's the
Yeah,
thing.
if any of them are watching, which I honestly doubt any of them are going
Yeah,
to
we
watch
know that.
this,
Thanks for
but
that dig.
I'm gonna have to say my favorite teammate is my roommate, Samantha Potvin. She's upstairs right now, actually. Yeah, I mean, we lived together for the past year and a half, and she's like one of my best friends here. And I have all my other friends too, okay? So like whatever. But she's my like ride or die, really. She is. So
What
yeah.
position does she play?
She's a pitcher.
Okay.
So crazy, right? Of course.
Yeah, of
Pitcher
course.
catcher,
Yeah,
like
that checks out.
it's funny because like all of my friends, not all of my friends. I mean, I'm friends with like everybody, but my like better friends, they're all pitchers. Like I'm always with them. So I'm friends with all the pitchers because I'm catching them all the time. I can tell them, call them out on their crap, be like, hey, stop. Like we're not doing that. But yeah, most of them are pitchers. So
Well, let's flip it up here a little bit. We talk about all the pros and talk about the positives and all that stuff. Give us obviously you're in the beginning of the career. You've had 1 year under your belt. Walk us through maybe a low point of last year. Right.
Mm.
Let's talk about like when you were struggling. I know I chatted with you a little bit, in the fall time and then just kind of talked about different things. But let's, give some insights on because that transition happens, right? Speed of the game
Yes.
changes. You show up on campus and you're nervous as all get out. Like
Right.
there's a lot of different pieces there. And when things aren't going good, talk about some of the low points. How do you crawl out of that? How do you get out of that funk? And then
Mhm.
obviously, get back into the swing of where you are confident and things are going, good again, right? Because there's
Yeah.
tons of players hopefully someday see this portion of this because they might be going through that. And what were some things that you did that really helped you kind of battle through?
Yeah, I really struggled at the beginning of fall. So, how our practices go is we'll practice all fall. So, we're still in our fall practicing schedule right now. And then we'll go on Christmas break. And when we come back from Christmas break, that's when we're back into like our full force because season starts in end of February, right? So, beginning of fall, I was kind of just, excited, kind of a little ignorant almost of really just like going out there and just doing my best at practice, trying to prove myself to the coaches to show them like I deserve to be here and everything. And then when we came back from Christmas break in January, I just remember being just I mean, okay, we're all from the Midwest. We know like seasonal depression is a thing. Like you get sad because it's cold all the time and it's dark at 4 o'clock and it's just like, what's going on? And so we would go into practice. Like I would wake up super early. It would be dark. I would go to class. We'd go to practice. It would be dark right when we got out of practice, all that stuff. And I just remember really struggling with working on new things. I was getting new things from my coaches, which is like, you're going to get that. You come to college and then they give you all the stuff that you need to start morphing yourself kind of into. Not that you're completely changing yourself or anything, but I remember really struggling with some of that stuff and struggling with things not working. And I remember my coach told me, she was like, hey, progress is like a J. Like you're going to start here, you're going to go down a little bit and then you're going to end up on the high end of it. So it's really like I was trying to focus on that. And then my teammates, like I remember one of my teammates, Reagan Bartholomew, she was amazing. She would come talk to me and be like, hey, you're good. Because there would be practices where we would just be hitting and I think I wouldn't hit a ball straight the whole time. And I was just like, we would go to shag in the outfield and I'm standing there and I'm like, I am a disappointment. I'm the worst, like all this stuff. And I would have my teammates there to come help and pick me up and everything. But I think going into season, I was also very just frustrated personally because I really wanted to play. I really wanted to help the team. And I think a lot of us go through this when we end up at a school where it's like all of us on our team, we were all the best on our high school team, right? We were all the best in our area. And then we all get plucked to come here. And for me, I was really struggling because I wanted to help the team so bad and I wanted to be on the field and I wanted that opportunity where there was multiple times where what I was preaching to like some of my athletes when I was mentoring, saying like, hey, you've got to have complete confidence in yourself. You've got to know that no matter what the coach thinks, you're better, all of this stuff. I was not doing that myself. And I just remember having to have that conversation with my coaches, have the conversation with my mom, with some of my teammates, and just kind of get to the bottom of it and realize that like I do belong here just because I'm struggling a little bit, which everyone will. Like you come into college, you will struggle. Even though the end of my season looked like the whole season was great and amazing, there was a mountain I was climbing to get there. Like I was kind of being dragged through the rocks almost a little bit. And all of us were. It was a pretty rough kind of season at the beginning there. But yeah, like kind of getting through that, I really just 100% was relying on God, right? And I was like, the whole verse that like the tragedies of today will not compare to the blessing and the glory that you will have in the future. I was really relying on that, and just also like relying on my teammates. I was my friends, they were really helping me a lot by being like, hey, you did great at practice today, like you're looking really good, stuff like that kind of helped pull me out of the funk of the frustration and stuff like that, for sure.
Yeah. Yeah, there's highs and lows, right? Peaks and
Hmm.
valleys, it's up and down, and you got to be able to get out of that mental prison essentially when
Yeah,
you are,
real.
on the low points, and that confidence is key there. But I also think you said something earlier that stuck out to me, which I think a lot of people could learn from as well too, is at the beginning of the season, you also accepted your role, right? Like
Hmm.
you didn't go into the beginning. Don't get me wrong, like you're still working, you want the opportunity, you want those things. But you also, I mean, you said it from your own words. My role was to be the best teammate that I could be, right?
Hmm.
My role was this. And whatever that role was, you were giving maximum effort to that role. And
Right.
that's what led you down the path of being able to have all of the rest of it kind of come full circle for you. There's so many kids out there in this day and age, and part of this is travel ball problems and a lot of different things, parents and all the things, right? But they don't accept their roles, and then they don't give max effort into that role because they
Mhm.
think they know better, or they think they are better, or they think whatever. And don't get me wrong, like there's a sense of confidence that you have to have, but if you're not willing to own where you're currently at and then make
Mhm.
that situation better, and what I mean by that is by doing the work to make it
Mhm.
better, how do you expect to be ready, right? How do you expect to be able to be prepared when that blessing comes down the pipeline if
Right.
you have not done the work to put yourself there, right?
Yep.
And so I think that that's a very, very big point that I hope that people, get to this far and listen to that, because you doing that and being a good teammate, I promise you from a coaching perspective, that is noticed, right? That
Yeah.
is seen. Like they feel that energy. They know that you are there. They can tell that that is what you are doing. You're not sitting on the bench pouting and
Mhm.
whining and crying and all the things that are cancerous to a team dynamic. You
Yeah.
are still putting yourself out there, and ultimately it boils down to being selfless. It boils down to you putting the team needs first, right?
Mhm.
Which people typically are too afraid to do because they think about themselves and not about everybody else. And,
Mhm.
so I think that, that's amazing. And, it's awesome to see the things that are happening for you in your career. You've battled through a lot of different things, but you're also just you're living example, and you're being that example, which is stuff that we preach all the time in here, right? We're
Mhm.
not perfect either, but we talk about it. It's part of why this whole thing even exists, that we're doing this
Yep.
is because like we're gonna be about what we say we're about, and like we're gonna stay consistent with it. We're gonna hold each other accountable. Like we're gonna keep plugging away day by day.
Mhm.
And, so hopefully good things come to that for other people, right? Serving other people and trying to, take our talents and take the things that we have and that we're constantly doing anyway and trying to do good with those. I think that it's awesome to see you doing that, and having that selfless mentality and staying consistent to be able to put yourself into a position. And now it's, you still got to do the work. You still got to go out and perform. You still got to do the things, but having a true grasp on your mentality to do it it's amazing. It truly is, and I wish you nothing but the best. Do you guys have any other follow-up questions? Anything there? I know she's probably got to get to class. She's probably already late.
That's it.
Okay. Any
I
other any other questions from you guys?
I mean, I was gonna ask you said you were busy and with the athlete stuff, the school stuff. So what does that look like for you? I mean, you try to be on campus doing your studying and stuff like that to embrace all of that. But like, I know you're busy because you are an athlete. How's
Yeah.
what's your average school schedule like? Are you 12 hours, 15? I mean, do you go above and beyond there? Like, what is too much, or have you found a happy medium?
Yeah, no, I've definitely been working this semester through finding that happy medium. I'm the type of person where I like to say yes to everything. I'm like, you want me to do that? Sure, I'll be there. You want me a part of this? Yes, I'll be there. And then next thing you know, I'm like, my mind's going crazy and I don't know what I'm doing. My schedule right now, it's a little bit more busy than it was last year just because I decided to double major. So I changed just from a business administration major to marketing and then also in our journalism school with the sports media that just came out, which is really cool. I think Iowa State is one of the first schools to have sports media as a major. And it's been cool just to hear the different perspectives from these guest speakers who come in and talk about all the things that are going on in the sports world. But my schedule right now, we have like, right now we're in what's called 8-hour weeks. So for NCAA, we have 20-hour weeks and then 8-hour weeks. So we had 20 hours for the first like 4 or 5 weeks of the fall. And then now we're just in 8 hours. So that's 8 hours of training with weights and practice. So we have like individuals today. So I have my hitting groups today, but we'll do weights 4 times a week in the morning. And then I have class. So I'll either I have internship as well. So I'm interning with the sports
So busy.
student athlete development center. So I go and do like all the marketing stuff for them and help them out with that. And then I'll go to class after that. And then normally I have time to like come home for a little bit and, kind of decompress, do some homework, whatever I need to do before I have to go to practice. But our schedule kind of changes on the weekly basis. We're trying to have 2 individual times as well as 2 team practice times. So the team practices are like an hour and 15 minutes just to get us kind of working together. And since it's been actually not terribly cold yet, like it normally is, we're still able to be outside on the field, which is super nice, even though we have to have our sleeves on and stuff because it's a little chilly. But yeah, and then on the weekends, I normally just try to like go to the football game if I can. And then like this weekend I had to come home, but any other weekend I just try to get homework done and just, study or whatever I need to do. But it's not insanely like crazy busy. When I add the other things that I do into it, it can get a little crazy, but my Google Calendar keeps me in check. So I know exactly where I'm going and everything I need to do. So yeah.
Nice, nice, nice. Well, that's all I had for
Good
you,
one.
Sean.
Sean,
Yeah.
any others?
Man, you talked about the J curve. It's cool that you guys see or you're on the upper part of the J because
Yeah.
it never turned back up for me. It just kept going down. That was my own.
That's terrible.
No, that was my own fault though. So, no, that's good. I think you know what's going to help you continue to have a good mindset is continually working with kids because you always want to practice what you preach is something that
Right.
really helped me when I'm coaching kids or whether it's Parisi, whether it's baseball or whether it was when I was coaching back in Iowa. Trying to be like, well, if I'm telling this kid this, I need to be practicing it myself. So
Right.
yeah, always continuing to be authentic is always going to pay out dividends in the end there.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, thank you for hopping on with us. I know you're, like I said, probably late, but we can talk a lot. And you have an amazing
Perfect.
story. I mean, truly you
Thank
do.
you.
And I hope that people look at that from a motivational standpoint and they see it and they try to model, different pieces of their lives in the same direction that you are and continue to give back, continue to be selfless, like continue to do the things that you're trying to do and working on because it is impactful. And, know that, people like me, people like us, we see the things that you're doing and we're like, wow, that's amazing. And
Mhm.
so you're doing a really, really good job at that. Like I said earlier, wise beyond your years. Like the way that you can speak and confidently talk about things is, that's a lost art with youth in this day and age and
Mhm.
young people in this day and age. So, and I know, I'll give a lot of credit to your mom for that because she
Right.
did not accept no for an answer. She just kind of
Mhm.
kicked you into the deep end and said, "Hey, you're going to learn how to do it." And I think that
Yep.
parenting form is also somewhat of a lost art. So, it's awesome to see you moving in the directions that you are. And we really appreciate you hopping on and chatting. And
Yeah.
we'll make sure that we post some cool stuff and talk about you. Obviously, I can be following you, and I want to come watch you play one of these times. and get out there and just,
I got a place for you to stay.
yeah, there we go.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Perfect.
So
I
we'll
was like,
find
I
some.
definitely will be back over Christmas break, so you
Yeah,
haven't
yeah.
got rid of
Well,
me yet.
we'll be in the facility and hanging out during those times, obviously doing your camps and all the stuff and just giving
Yeah.
back. And so any way that we can help you in that process, definitely let us know. And obviously good luck for the entire season and all of the things. But we always kind of close out our pods in prayer. So Sean,
Perfect.
we're going to pass it over to Sean and let him kind of close it out. Normally the guest is gone, but we're going to leave you in here this time. So
I
you're
would love
staying with us.
to. Yes. Okay, perfect.
Awesome.
Lord, thank you for another day, bringing us together and having this conversation. Thank you for Karlee. Thank you for her sharing her story and just being so close and tethered to you throughout it all. I just pray more people kind of look at her example and follow it and stay close to the word, stay close in prayer, and make sure their eyes are set on you and not on the things of this world. And just pray that for her to continue to do well in school, continue to stay healthy as she goes forward and gets prepared for the season, as well as the rest of our teammates as well. In your name we pray, Jesus. Amen.
Amen.
Amen. Thank you guys so much.
Thanks for taking time out of your day with us, Karlee.
Yes.
That is episode 11, all you, Karlee. All about you. So thanks for joining Kansas Sports
Yes.
HQ. We're out.